In this video, we're going to give you a strategy, yes, a strategy that you can take to the market yourself and apply it with your trading every single day. And that is the break and retest strategy. It goes both ways, guys. It goes on the long side. It works on the short side. We can talk about a trending stock. We can talk about something that's even in a bit of a choppy zone, for lack of a better term. But let's first come up with a definition here. When we say break and retest, we're obviously talking about it's got to break something before it retests. What is that?
Yeah, we're not talking about breaking windows or anything like that, but in essence, that's not a horrible metaphor here. Like, first, you have to have an identifiable, we'll say resistance level, because sometimes it's easier to explain long side trades first, and then you can just reverse it if you want to think about a short break. So you're going to take a resistance level, which means price moves into an area, and I have an example here in a 1 minute on AMC. We're in the pre-market. It gets to this level about 1920 or so, and then you get a reversal. It tries to get back to this level, and then reversal. By the time it gets to the open, it's the third time it is trying to get through that same price level. So at about 1925, what you have is a clear level of resistance so far in that morning. What is a break? Well, a break simply means that the price trades above that level, and a lot of people will tell you it doesn't just need to go above it. It'll need to have, 1 minute chart here, a candle that closes above that price level. So that's the break. You get that 1925 level, you have the break, the candle closes above, you've now broken that resistance level. Now, the other side of that is, what does it mean to retest? Once you've explained the break, it seems rather simple. The price has to come back in to that previous resistance level, which you're thinking could turn into support. So it'll retest that previous price level at 25. The one thing I will throw in here is it's very simple to sort of look at wicks on charts and identify a single price level. But the reason I use this example was to show you this level here was 1917. This top here was 1914. I come across here and this is 1918. You're usually talking about a zone or price area of resistance for most stocks. If it's a penny stock or something like that, you might get specific round numbers. A lot of times it'll be a price zone, and that's going to be a very important thing to discuss when you look at that retest, because it's not just, oh, it touched 1925. It's going to need to retest the zone where the body of these candles were when it comes back in. So you get the break, has to be a significant price level. A lot of times it'll be multiple levels of resistance, and then finally breaking and closing above. For the retest, it needs to enter that zone. From here was about 19 to 1925, as you will see. And you can apply this to, this is a 1 minute chart, 3 minute charts, a 15 minute chart. On a daily chart, the same things are going to necessarily apply here, but you first have to identify support and resistance to be broken and retest it here.
So I actually have like a real-time example right now for this break and retest. So let's go over this quick, if we can, guys. Real-time example just happened just now here on AMC. So here we go. I've identified a key level for you. We go down here and it's basically 28 even, okay? The wicks come down. This is support, right? So every time support is broken, that's the break we're talking about. Remember the video, break and retest, a very, very simple strategy. So here's the break, okay? And then that's not the trade. This is, you can go short on this break, no doubt about that. But we're talking about the retest of said break, okay? So here it comes back up, and there's a retest exactly almost to the penny, whatever this level is here, 28, I guess 28.25 or so. There it is right there, perfect retest, and that's your area of support turned into resistance. So there it is. So there's the break. Here's the retest. Perfect opportunity to go short. And when you go short here again, beautiful run to the very bottom here. So that's a nice little $4 run. And the amount it goes down doesn't matter. But there's the retest. So that gives you an area right there. And if you're talking about area, Neil, you're 100% right. You may not want to use these wicks. So if you use this area to go short, you may want to just level it up a little bit and put it up a couple more pennies, especially if your stock is moving the way AMC is. You may want to give yourself a little bit more room. So this area, I would have given this short. If I would go short always on this level, but then I would give my stop just a few pennies higher, whatever it is. Just look for a couple more areas of resistance higher to that. But It just happened again. So AMC makes a move. It's starting to run. So here we go. Run, 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 run. And look what happens. It goes right back to the exact same level right here. The exact same level. And again, you get maybe a wick higher there. So we don't worry about that. And here it comes. You talked about it, Neil, right on cue. An area stop or an area spot. This comes right back to right where we were, this old break, and then resist again. So right there, it's happening once again. You could have shorted off this area, or if you're long, it's a great area to get out. So there it happens live right here on AMC. Boom, there it is. Here's the support. Broken. There's the retest. Go short. If you take a long, you can hold it all the way. Actually tests again here. Another area to go short right back here. Gives you another winner, and maybe right here we're forming another short. So there it is, man. The break and retest numerous times here, giving you multiple opportunities to cash in on this.
So it comes back to that old adage, right? We were talking about the idea of prior resistance becoming support, prior support also becoming resistance, as we're seeing with a short trade that Sean's showing you on AMC. AMC trading below VWAP, trending nicely in one direction. So we're obviously favoring a trade to the downside, utilizing this break and retest concept. I'm going to give you an example right now of just a random small cap that was on my chart already. But look at these beautiful examples of this same idea. Now, this TMDI stock really hasn't done much today. It gave you a nice little long opportunity at the open. But once we break this key level from the open here and start trading below it, look what happens the first time that we retest this key level from the morning. So we're trading below it now. Obviously, the stock is no longer strong. On the first retest of this prior support area, this now becomes a great point of resistance, and we continue the trend to the downside. I mentioned right off the beginning that it doesn't matter what time frame you're looking at. I'm going to go back to the exact same stock here, but look at the daily time frame instead of the intraday chart. There we go, the daily time frame on this side, guys. So here we go, support, support, break, support. Now we become resistant. So the first test, this is the point I want to get to. The first time that price comes back to that significant test, that is the key. It's not the third, not the fourth, or the 10th time. It's the first time. The most amount of eyeballs and the most amount of attention is going to be paid to that key level the first time it retests. So there's a couple of examples on how to use this idea, guys, to enhance your trading. Now we're going to talk about what not to do. So, Neil, let's get into when something like this may not be a good idea to use.
Yeah, and this is important too, because everyone's sort of concerned with what is a false break going to look like here, guys. And I think there's a couple of ways you can approach that. And I want to stick with the same stock and the same chart just to keep things relatively simple, because, you know, I showed you that support level, so that resistance level, you know, at 1925, and there was essentially an attempted break at the open. But there was also a support level down here at 1840, guys. And this is what will happen. Is you get this level at 1840 and that 1920 gives you about an 80 to 85 cent range where it can break in either direction. Off the open, it does break the lower end of this bound, right? So you could be thinking about that short trade that Sean talked about and then looking for the retest of that level. Essentially, once this happens, but you get the spike down, it tries to go, and then it doesn't go, you are now hands off of the short idea. Because it didn't actually close below on the next candle. Like it didn't give you that open and close below that level, that 1840 level. It never held there. It never broke from that price range. So you're not even thinking about that short breakout, even though that price was breached. You're in neutral mode. You're still waiting. You technically have not held above that 1920, so that break is invalid. This break is invalid. You're waiting, and then you finally get that break that I was talking about earlier, where you close above that 1920 area. And the best part about it is when you have, and this is almost like a key, like a bonus point for you guys, when you have an opening range like this on a highly volatile stock where you expect price to move, and AMC was the case here, once you've made that break, you're thinking about a trend. And what will happen is you get the first break. I mean, the retest is very shallow, so a very easy entry there. And then you look to see what is the next high that gets made, and I will zoom in so you guys can see this almost very clearly. The next high gets made here at 1970. There is a break of that level. There is actually no retest of that level whatsoever. So you can sit there and you can wait that one out. You get a break of another high up here at like 2060, and you can either be patiently waiting for the exact entry point. You can take something in front of it if you would like. You get multiple breaks over and over and over again to that upside until you finally come to what I like to call, like, you know, that last fail. And this is the last time you get a break at this level here. You try to get the upside, you retest, you breach it, it suddenly goes below that retest point, and then you have another invalid break. So you have a trend to the upside where you can be using the break and retest in the first entry. It never even gives you another one. So the reason to be holding, there's another reason that you can be taking that long in front of the levels that Sean had mentioned. But once you have that failure, that can be a signal to get out of a core position that you were holding the entire way up, or you can start thinking about that short retracement trade where it breaks this level and then you're waiting for the retest, which shallow, barely even gets there, and then trends back to the downside, guys. So you have to think about when not to use it. The open is the biggest time of day where you will find these traps, where levels will get broken, but they will not extend through. Once that happens, you wait for the real opportunity. A lot of times it's only a few minutes later.
So understand the directional move that is happening. Also understand at what point the directional move is at. So as Neil was saying, you know, we have to be trending. If we're in a sideways kind of consolidation, you're going to get those tests above, the tests below, and maybe not much follow through. I want to quickly give you one more idea just to wrap this up when it comes to the break and retest concept. So this is another one from today, EXPR. There's a significant level. This is the open right about here, so 930. The initial support level that's held in the morning ends up with a nice little rally. Once we break this support back to the downside, look what happens when we get the first retest on the short side this time of this prior support now becomes resistance. We end up chopping around here in a bit of a range. There's another level, if you go back to the pre-market below that, that ends up finally breaking as well. So the idea that I want to pass along here is if we're now breaking a prior key support area, our bias has become short. The key is going to be in this type of idea. You now have defined risk of this top where you can now start working a position in the idea that your average price needs to be as close to the top of this range as possible. And that will also give you an opportunity that once we do break and continue this move to the downside, you can add to that position. So a little bit more advanced idea there, but concentrate on getting your average position as close to your defined risk as possible, and then you can take advantage of that continuation move as well. That is the break and retest strategy, guys. Hope you like that one and can use it in your trading. Let's go to Valeria.
Hey guys, thank you for this great explanation. Dear viewers, please subscribe to this channel to see more educational videos.